Hey, Sal, I want to talk about getting back to basics today. So, in our PT sessions this week, what we've been doing is focusing on just getting back to the nitty-gritty of everything. Because I think sometimes what happens is we can forget about how important they are to our health, our strong bodies, and just how we move in daily life. And those three fitness foundations, as you know, that we talk about and bang on about all the time, they are stability, strength, and endurance. So, whilst all three are really, really important, if we don't have the first part right, which is the stability, then we're putting ourselves at risk when we're doing the strength and endurance component. You'd agree with that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So I would say, for all intents and purposes, that we would say that stability is the cornerstone of fitness. And I would go as far to say that the toolkit can be as simple as 1, 2, 3. 1 being core engagement, 2 being lower body strength and control, and 3 being full body integration. So just bringing it all together. And so I thought what we'd start with is this core engagement. And we don't really want to go into too much detail. What we really want to do is just talk about how we can often miss this part. Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. So if you were coaching someone who was just coming in, what would you do from a core engagement perspective?
My first port of call would be to explain to them where their core is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I think a lot of people don't understand where their core is.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I did this morning with our PT clients is said, here's my little stick figure. Here's the big box. Okay. And here's the 2 little arms and the 2 little legs. This box is your core. So think about it as having a top, a bottom, sides, front and back. Yeah. And so we just went through, what's at the top, what's at the bottom. So, your diaphragm, your pelvic floor, then talked about your obliques and your transverse abdominis and, all the other muscles that are connected and how they all work together. And so, and I think if you can understand that that's the concept of it, that it's not just your abdominal muscles, then you're one step ahead, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it could be something as simple as you might lay on the ground with your knees bent, put your feet flat on the floor, put your hands on your belly in the lower part of your belly and take a nice deep inhale. And when you do that, you're going to push through your belly button down through to the mat or the floor. But you want to be able to breathe just normally. Yeah?
Yeah.
When you're doing it. So
Yeah.
that diaphragm or that breath is so important and so often missed. Because if you think about when you lift, if you breathe incorrectly, what's going to happen? You're going to
Not
get
going to engage anything. You get pass
not
out.
yeah, you pass out if you don't breathe. Yeah, that's exactly right. But one of the constant things that we hear all the time from some of our ladies is that, oh, my back's sore. And
Specifically lower back.
specifically lower back. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love the aha moment for June this morning when I said about this breath and we were talking about it. And then she went, oh, that's what I'm not doing. And even though as coaches, we say it all the time, sometimes we don't hear it or we don't understand it or we're just going, oh, yeah, that's okay. I can just keep pushing.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to add on that?
A lot of the times when we are doing strength training, we're holding our breath to lift or to come up because we think that that's what you should be doing. But as you said, you need to be breathing through those moves.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So that's point number one. Let's get the core engagement right. Point number two is this lower body strength and control. So often we see the flop down as such. So if you even just talk about an exercise such as a sit to stand, we stand up and then when we go to sit down, we just go flop in the chair. Yeah. And so one of the things that we like to focus on with these sit to stands is not just doing, your standard chair. It's to think about the various levels of chairs. If you're out at the bar, how do you sit on that chair? If you've got a chair that's really low to the ground, or we like to do it from a stepper, sitting down on that and getting up. And it's really fascinating when someone's first starting out, they think everything's okay. Then when we get them down to this low step, it's like, oh, hang on a minute, I can't get up.
Yeah.
So it's that moment of realization that if I can't get up and something does happen, then I'm in all sorts of hot water, particularly if I live by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think the other aspect of it is making sure that with this lower body that you are continuing to lift your feet. And we've probably seen it when we've been in the shops. You're smiling at this, the shuffle.
The shuffle, yeah.
The little shuffle. So we're not lifting our feet up. And that's where steps are so valuable. And I know you've talked about this before, where you had that fear of falling and you started to use the railing in your house. I mean, I think every house should have steps because it keeps you using those muscles in your legs.
Yeah.
But do you want to talk to that, Sel, about that fear and what happened and when you had that realization and what you started doing?
Yeah, so it would have been probably after I turned maybe 51, and we've got stairs in our house. I don't know if you want me to turn my camera around, but, they're pretty high stairs.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, we can see it.
They're pretty high. Yeah, and I was coming down one day and I'm like, why am I holding on? And then, I was just checking myself. Hadn't held on to them before.
No.
And it was like, oh my God, I'm afraid I'm going to fall down these stairs.
Mm-hmm.
So I was holding onto the rail to come down the stairs and holding onto the rail to come up the stairs. And I thought, no, I'm 51. Why, why is this fear suddenly come into my life? I'm not going to let that happen. So I was then very conscious of not holding on as I go up and not holding on as I come down.
Yeah. That makes me think about the sit to stands when I was talking about it. And I posed a question this morning was, do you put your hand behind you to feel the chair?
No.
Or to feel the toilet type of thing. And I was asking the ladies and I said, I found myself doing this a few years back. And I went, I know where the toilet is. What am I doing that for? And this is about that awareness factor, isn't it? Where all of a sudden you go, oh, hang on a minute. What am I doing here? I'm on that aging slippery slope. And if I don't pick it up now, I'm going to be in all sorts of hot water because then I'm going to be relying on my hands to do so much more for me.
Yeah. And it is literally, unless you have had a fall and that fear has come in, there is literally no reason to start doing it.
No.
We just, for some reason, the fear suddenly comes over us that we're going to fall.
Yeah.
And that fear shouldn't come over us. I had a client who, she was 78, never had a fall in her life, had a fall at the local shopping centre.
Yeah.
Terrified, but she'd never had a fall bit prior to that.
Yeah.
So I can understand why she is terrified now.
Yeah.
But for me, why am I terrified at 51? I've never had a fall.
Look, I've got to think about skiing. When I started skiing, I'm going to fall. I'm just going to plop. It was just constant. And yet now, some years down since I've been doing it, so I started in my 40s, it's like, okay, my aim is to be able to ski that mountain without actually falling over. But if I do fall over, I've got to be able to get myself back up again. So, And that hence the reason that I strength train and I do all these things, because I want to keep doing that thing that I love.
Yeah.
And I only discovered in my 40s, you know, it was something that it was like, didn't even know anything about it before that.
Yeah.
And I missed out on all those years. So I've got to make up for it now.
Yeah.
Now, I think the third component in this foundation that we're talking about here is balance. Oh, my goodness. You know, just being able to stand on one leg for, you know, 10 to 30 seconds, being able to do it on both sides. But not only just do that, be able to wave your hands up and down and around and everything and move, because if you ever think about it, if you're going to fall, you're not standing still.
No.
Yeah. And so the next part of that is, once you can move your hands, can you now reach down to, you know, maybe your knee or maybe your ankle or something like that? And I gave a hot tip this morning. And I love this. And it was something that I instinctively started doing, and I didn't really even think about it. My toothpaste and my toothbrush are in the lowest drawer. Most of us put it in the top drawer, right? Or leave it on the basin or whatever. And so it's in the lowest drawer. And so I said, okay, so here's what we're going to do is we're going to stand on one leg. We're going to reach down to that low drawer, open it, get those things out that we need, and we're going to clean our teeth while we're standing on one leg, swap halfway between, you know. What I've just done there is given you a task that you're already doing, an activity that you're already doing, where you can add your practice, your balance practice into daily life. Voila, no extra time needed.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Mm.
Or even if you've been out for a walk, you come home, don't sit on the chair, stand, bend over, lift your leg up, undo your shoes, and take your shoes off that way. So there's so many little things you can do that you can add these movements, things into daily life that mean you're not having to find time, because we know that time when it comes to exercise is the number one reason that we don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to add anything onto that?
I think it's very important to find out where you are holding on.
Yeah.
Because if you can become aware of where you are holding on, then you're more likely to practice standing on that one leg. You know, we can go, oh, my balance is fine, I'm not falling over. But, you know, are you holding on to your car as you're getting into your car?
Mm.
Are you, once again, holding on to the handrail going up the stairs?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and I think it's very important that you think of those things. Shuffling your feet, which we were just talking about previously. You're thinking, I've got to keep those feet on the ground because I have to, you know, I don't want to lift them up, because once you lift your foot up, you're balancing on one foot. So it's very important not to shuffle. And I think you need to become aware of what you are doing around your house, around or in your life that is affecting your balance.
The other aspect that I just suddenly thought of then, Sal, too, is this looking down.
Yeah.
So trusting yourself that you know where that is, and using your peripheral vision to know what you can and cannot do. You know, okay to have a glance, but just don't make it the normal thing that you do, which is to look down. Because if you look down, you're then going to start to get that rounding in your body. You are then putting, you know, that stress on your spine as well too. So,
and you're just second guessing yourself.
Yeah, that's right. The third component, Sal, is this full body integration. This is where you're going to pull it all together. So you understand how to do the core engagement, you understand how to use your lower body and control your lower body. So this is where those get-ups come in. So, and there's lots of different ways to do that. We can do a lunge to a lower down to the ground. We could do the cross leg from a standing position and lower ourselves down onto the ground. We can do what I call the emergency one, which is you've ended up flat on your face on the ground. So you've got to be able to roll yourself over, and let's assume that you landed on your wrist and you've got a sore wrist and there's no one around. Then you want to be able to use your core to pull yourself up, do the little bottom shuffle to a seat where you can then use your elbows to pull yourself up. And then the other one, which is the glorious walkouts, which everybody in the Strong Healthy Women community love, tongue in cheek, which is to walk out, drop yourself to the ground. So put the chest on the ground and then use the push up. So push yourself up and come back up out of it. That is where you're using that whole body to then get up and down off the ground. Here's a really interesting thing, Sal, because today with PT, I had 30-year-old, 40-year-old, 50-year-old, 60-year-old, 70-year-old, right? So all age brackets. And you can see the difference in the ages because, you know, balance, flexibility, all those things start to go, and they start to become, we become more aware of them as we're going through the decades. But when we got to the cross leg to go from a standing position to the seated position, the 30-year-old went, oh, I can get down, but I can't control that getting down. So it was just a big flop. And I can't actually get myself back up without using one hand. So it was really interesting to see that at the young age as well too. Yeah. And it was like, I'm definitely going to practice this. And she actually messaged me before to say, I've already done this, this, and this today while I've been working. So, fabulous news.
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything to add on the get-ups?
No.
I think this foundation, this stability factor matters because it's about injury prevention. It's about improving our daily function, preventing falls, and having these strong building blocks for their strength and endurance. And I think when starting it, you want to start with, you know, a small amount of time. You know, you might do 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, or you might do 5 reps, you know, and then increase the repetitions over a period of time as well too. You want to focus on form over the quantity, and you want to practice them regularly and try and add them into the daily life activities that you're already doing. And as you improve, start to go up levels and continue to get better and challenge yourself.
Like any training, any exercise that you do, you want to advance through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sal, is there anything that you want to add on to that?
No.
So I think in finishing, ladies, we really just want to remember that building that strong, healthy body starts by mastering these fitness foundations. So that's stability, strength, and endurance. And whilst it's all very simple in concept, it requires consistent practice and being present in how we're doing it and continuing to improve and challenge ourselves in those basics.
Perfect.
Oh, thanks for joining me, Sal.
Thanks for having me, as always.
You are very welcome. Thanks for joining us, ladies. We shall see you all very soon. Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye.